Okay, we are live, baby, but we got to let it breathe just for a moment. Got to make sure our Facebook clan is with us in its full entirety, and we're going to fire this bad boy up. It has been a minute, Broncos country, since I've been able to talk at you, and I'm looking forward to it. Welcome in, everybody, to the Huddle Up podcast, presented, as always, by Mile High Huddle. I'm your host, freshly returned, off vacation, Chad Jensen. With me, as always, my partner in crime. You know him, you love him. He is the deputy editor of milehighhuddle.com. And my fellow football priest, he is Zack Kelberman. Zach, dude, last week, you and John, trophy. You get the trophy. You guys rocked it. You guys crushed it. Thanks for holding her down. And it was fun listening to you guys. And from all the feedback we got from the community, I think everybody enjoyed it. But thanks for holding it down. Great job. And let me just tell you, dude, I'm stoked to be back.
Of course, yeah. You know, John, I said this last night, but he really did a bang-up job. And a lot of the comments that we received, Chad, the feedback that we got was so positive for Buana, John Cronenberg, John K., any name you want to call him. I think he did a bang-up job. But, Chad, it's so good to look to the left side of my screen and see your face right there. I hope you're relaxed. I hope you're rested. I hope you're feeling better and ready to dive into a great week of podcasting going forward.
Yeah, I've been busy, man. This wasn't one of those kick it on the beach all day type vacations. I mean, this was like the first vacation I went on where I lost weight. You know what I'm saying? Like I was busy, dude. I was moving constantly, but it was great and enjoyed Florida. So thanks to everybody. It's good to see each and every one of you as well. Trust me when I say, like, this isn't just a platitude. I missed you guys. I missed talking with you. So glad to be back in the saddle. But off the bat, real quick, Zach, I got to pick your brain on the Sam Darnold tectonic trade, if you will, that occurred today. Of course, in case you guys missed it, the New York Jets finally dealt Sam Darnold away to the Carolina Panthers, who currently sit with the number 8 overall pick in the draft. The odds of them now taking a quarterback or really being in the hunt to move up and grab one, I wouldn't say, Zach, they're eliminated, but they are diminished rather significantly. Before we get into how this all affects the Denver Broncos, I want your gut reaction to Darnold landing in Carolina.
I have so many different ways I can go about this. I think, first of all, this maneuver says to me that the Panthers don't foresee a top quarterback falling to them at number 8. So they wanted to make their move to get their quarterback now. And I firmly believe that if Deshaun Watson was available, Chad, you know, all reports indicated they were going to be aggressive. They were going to be a front runner. They would have acquired Deshaun Watson. The cost of the Darnold trade surprised me. At least this year, it was a couple, late round picks and a late round pick and a second and a fourth next year. That was surprising to me. But remember the report that just came out. I wrote it a couple days ago from Troy Rank. The Broncos did not feel Darnold was an upgrade enough to make that trade. And to me, if they wouldn't make that trade for a starting quarterback with upside at the cost of right there, a 6th rounder this year and a 4th and 2nd next year, it says to me the Broncos aren't going to then move and give up 3 first rounders or whatever to move up for a rookie quarterback. So another indication that it's going to be Locke and a veteran and running it back with the 2020 squad next season.
For the Broncos fans who are still just pining away over a replacement to Locke, like that minority within Broncos country that dang near hates Drew Lock. Like, they don't like Drew Lock. Let me just put it that way. There's really only 2 options left on the table, plausible options, like within the realm of the possible for your Denver Broncos to get a true upgrade or a replacement with the potential to be an upgrade over Drew. And that's the pipe dream Deshaun Watson situation, which as time goes on has increasingly become radioactive. Like he's past the potato right now. No one wants to touch him till all these allegations either go away or get resolved, etc. And that's going to take time. I mean, look at how long it's taken the Denver Broncos ownership, the lawsuits and all that. Once things get into courts of law, you're dealing with judges, you're dealing with attorneys and all this procedural, legal, mumbo jumbo. It takes time. So Deshaun Watson, guys, I mean, never say never, right? This is the NFL, but he's probably out of the picture. What that means, Zach, and that's kind of the title of how I headlined this particular article, the Broncos, really, their QB options have dwindled to just one. All right, there's really only one option if you're looking for a true upgrade, and that's a trade up to number 4 to land whoever's there, whether it ends up being Trey Lance or Justin Fields, because all signs point to Trevor Lawrence going number 1, of course. It's a guarantee to Jacksonville. Number 2, it sounds like it's going to be Zach Wilson of BYU. 3, I've heard mixed things, Zach. I've heard it could be Mac Jones to San Francisco, which would blow my mind.
Yeah.
But it's more sounding like it's going to be Trey Lance, right? Trey Lance to number 3. So the Broncos, if they can maneuver to 4, which will cost a pretty penny, even moving up those 5 spots, Zach, you have a plausible, you could guarantee either a Lance and or a Fields. Mac Jones, guys, he's not a plausible day one immediate upgrade over Drew Lock. So with that being the case, Zach, do you see George Paton, with everything we've seen from him up to this point, not only the words that he has spoken, but the moves he's made and the moves he hasn't made, are you seeing a trade up to number 4? Because I am not.
I'm not either. And it's for the same reasons they weren't serious about acquiring Matt Stafford. They weren't serious about Deshaun Watson for the most part. I just don't think that George Paton, knowing what kind of GM he's been and kind of executive he's been and being so stingy with draft capital, he would surrender all of that for a quarterback who's still unproven, being a rookie. And we talked about this yesterday, John and I did. If you draft a rookie or trade up for one and sell that farm, what are you banking on? Firing Pat Shurmur next offseason and then going through 2 years of a quarterback learning 2 different systems? It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. The other option now, though, Chad, because the Panthers have their quarterback and Teddy Bridgewater is no longer the starter. Who drafted Bridgewater in Minnesota? That would be George Paton. And let me say right now a hearty hell no to that idea. I don't want the Broncos going anywhere near Teddy Bridgewater. He has a cap number north of $20 million. He threw more interceptions than touchdowns last year. So if you don't like Drew Lock, you definitely wouldn't like Teddy Bridgewater. But it's looking like we've been saying for months and weeks and months and weeks, Drew Lock and some sort of quarterback behind him, but mostly the Lock show is returning to Denver for one more year, a make or break year for number 3. Despite all the rumors, despite the speculation, despite it being a top-heavy quarterback class, and by the way, I'll believe it when I see it, Mac Jones going number 3 to San Francisco. I still don't think that is the pick there. But I also don't think Paton, again, based on what he's done so far, based on what he said so far, either indirectly or directly about Drew Lock, I just don't see a splash trade for a rookie quarterback. And again, if he wouldn't surrender this for Sam Darnold, mid-round picks or a future second-rounder, what makes you believe he would give up multiple firsts for an unproven quarterback on top of that?
We are super excited about tonight's show. Not only am I all the more excited to finally be back in the saddle, but we have one of our great MHH Mount Rushmore superstars, Mark Langley, back on the show. We're going to bring him on here in just a few moments, go through some of these key issues, see what his take is on a few of them. I want to get to a couple quick super chats so people aren't waiting too long, though, John. Let's grab Based Gase. Love you, bro. Good to see you. Appreciate you. He says maybe Carolina didn't like the QB4, QB5 in this draft, which ostensibly are Justin Fields, Mac Jones. Every team's going to have a different board, but that would be my guess, Zach.
Yeah, and they can't trade up to 4 with Carolina. That's a division rival. Or Carolina can't trade up to 4 with Atlanta, their division rivals. So they didn't foresee, I don't think, a quarterback falling into their laps. And if a quarterback won't fall to 8, obviously they won't fall to 9. So the Broncos now, like you've mentioned, they are backed into 2 separate directions they can go. Run it back with Lock or move up to 4 to secure a quarterback who, Chad, might not even be the guy on their big board leading it. It might be their number 3 or number 4 option. We do not know that information. But to move up to that spot, giving up multiple first-round picks, second-round picks, a player, whatever, you have to be 1,000,000,000% certain, not 100%, 1,000,000,000%. And I don't think George Paton at that spot, kind of not having the pick of the litter, the last quarterback to fall from that list, is that his guy? Yeah. I don't know.
Brian Greenfield, a.k.a. BG, another bona fide superstar. Appreciate you, dog. As always, hope you know that. He says, what the Sam Hill? Here's to hoping we play, Carolina every week this season. Wow. Just wow. 3 freaking picks. Darn. Jets are getting some A pluses for this. They will probably get a high second round pick next season too. They almost get as much as they drafted him at. Well, I mean, number 3 overall, that's a far cry, in my opinion, BG, from a second and a fourth next year and a sixth this year. But your point is not lost on us that, the Jets got themselves a haul. It sounded like, Zach, and then let's move on to our batters of business and grab Mark here. But it sounded like initially it was going to be a first-round pick for Darnold, and then that fizzled, and it became a second-round pick. Then that fizzled, and it sounded like the last few things I had heard when the Broncos were still plausibly tied to Darnold was like maybe a third and a conditional pick, that might be higher if he ends up panning out for the team. But he ended up going for a 2, a 4, and a 6, which is actually a little bit more than I expected. So kudos to the Jets.
I just think Sam Darnold, and this proves, I think his stock is higher on Twitter and in the Broncos fan base and some sort of fan bases in the NFL than it is to executives and evaluators in the NFL. There's a reason why the Jets are moving on. There's a reason why this quarterback admitted to seeing ghosts. I don't think he'll ever be the same as what he was coming out of college. And even that, Chad, you and I both had our apprehensions about Sam Darnold, and I'm happy he's at least removed from the equation because Sam Darnold in Denver would have been an awful disaster, unmitigated.
I think one of the reasons Broncos fans were so in love with Darnold, and then we got to grab our great sponsor, is literally 2 of his better games as a pro have come against the Broncos. All right, week 3 in 2018, and then week 4 this past season when he made Justin Simmons and Kareem Jackson both look like Pop Warner kids out there on skates. But nevertheless, guys, we're going to continue talking about this. We want to get Mark's opinion on this. We want to get your thoughts. We got a bunch of great superstars chiming in on Super Chat. We're going to get to everybody tonight. First, we got to say hello and thank you to our presenting sponsor, though, of tonight's live stream podcast, Manscaped. Listen up, guys. Here we are. We're in April. No matter where you're at in the country or in the Northern Hemisphere, for that matter, things are starting to warm up. All right. It's time to, hopefully you have done this, take your manscaping, your grooming game to a whole other level. Manscaped is the best way to help you do that because they are the best in providing precision engineered tools for your family jewels. And you hear us talk about it night after night. They've helped over 2 million men around the world do just that, elevate their game, including us. I use their products. I took it with me on vacation, from the lawnmower to the weed whacker to all the accoutrements. The Manscaped repertoire, for lack of a better term, is top notch.
Yeah, 2 million and growing, Chad, because we've had multiple comments and multiple listeners and viewers reach out and say they've ordered their Manscaped and they love the materials that came with it. They love the product. And I'm going to demonstrate to you, as you see on the screen right there, like Chad's holding, the lawnmower. And I showed it off last night and I said I shaved with it. And again, there's no bumps, as you can see, under my chin. There's no red marks. There's no scratches. I'll even do it right now real quick. Literally podcasting and shaving. It's that easy. I mean, Manscaped, it's no muss, no fuss. It's ergonomic. It's comfortable in your hand. It holds charge forever. And like I've always said, no matter what kind of man you are, you want to be virtual, you want to be in person, you want to stay at home, you want to go out, you have to look better and feel better, if only for yourself. And no other product, Chad, on the market helps you feel better and look better than Manscaped.
One of the things I love about them is just all the different components, all the different tools, not just the actual shaving tools, but all the little things that they provide you to take your manscaping to a whole other level, and just your male grooming to a whole other level. Their cologne, which is called Refined, is dope. All right, another little tool that I took with me on the road to my vacation this past week. So join us as very, very, very happy customers of Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com. If you use the code HUDDLE, you'll get 20% off plus free shipping. And your boys and that special person in your life, trust, they'll thank you.
Yes, get 20% off and free shipping with the code HUDDLE at manscaped.com. Again, that's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use the code HUDDLE.
All right, a couple other quick things here, and then we're going to grab Mark. He's been waiting so patiently. We ran a little long in our opening segment, so I'm going to be like lightning quick. Follow the pod on Twitter at HuddleUpPod, the main account on Twitter at MileHighHuddle. My partner, Zack Kelberman, at Kelberman NFL, myself, at Chad and Jensen. And trust us when we tell you, our producer, you know him as Buona Beast on Twitter, at John K. MHH. A great follow. Those of you who are following him, you know that he is one of the best people to interact with in the Broncos landscape on Twitter. So take care of that. And then also, guys, this week, we're going to be announcing 2 winners for last week, one for last week, one for this week, for those who are selected for our random weekly giveaway. Are you liking and following the Huddle Up podcast page on Facebook? If so, you're randomly selected, and it could be you. If not, you're missing the boat on that, and you're missing that's one of the few destinations now that we do these live streams: YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and the Huddle Up Podcast Facebook page. So take care of that. Make sure you're liking and following that page. Open up the app, just search the podcast, or just go to facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. All right. Last thing here, become a supporter. Last week we took Sunday off for Kelberman's Corner because Kim was traveling. It was a holiday. It was Easter. But next week, we got not only another episode of the Trickle Zone on Saturday with the draft just barreling down on us, but a fresh episode of Kelberman's Corner. If you want in on that, become a supporter. Go to facebook.com/Mile High Huddle, our main page. You'll see the big blue button, become a supporter. Click that. You're in like Flynn. You'll get access to all of that premium video content that we set aside specifically for our subscribers. And if you're not in a position to do those things, gang, it's all good. We're seriously just stoked to have you with us. But we do ask that you subscribe, number one. Number two, that you like the video. All right. If you think we're doing a decent job, like the video, especially if you're on YouTube or Facebook. Helps us a little bit, goes a long, long way. And number three is the litmus test. All right. If we are doing a good job for you, if you at least respect the effort, even if we might disagree on some of the issues, share this video out there. Help us continue to grow, reach new like-minded Broncos fans just like you. And as we grow, what was it, Zach? Less than a week ago, we crossed 10,000 subs. Next week, our entire program is going to be centered around celebrating that 10K milestone. So look forward to that. It's going to be a gas. All right. Without further ado, let's bring on the man, the myth, the legend, Mark Langley, MHH, bona fide superstar in the flesh, right up close. He's letting you see his manscaping being on point. Mark Langley, dude, it's great to have you back on the show. Love you. How you been, my friend?
Good, dude. How you been? How you guys been? It's been a minute, hasn't it? Just been working, dude. Same old, same old. You know, been a minute. How you guys been?
Can't complain, dude. But listen, your product placement always on point. Rocking the football priest hat like a true superstar. Great background. We love that. Love that. But we, excuse me, since this is your second appearance on the show, we're not going to go through some of the questions that we ask our superstars when they appear for the first time, like, how they became a fan, their best, worst memories, things like that. We want to pick your brain on a couple of the hot topic issues of the moment for these Denver Broncos. And the first one comes from me, Mark, and that is the whole idea of the quarterback question. Now, you and I have talked about this a little bit privately in our communications, texting and talking on the phone and whatnot. But what do you want to see? Tell the audience what you want, not just what you want, but really tell them what you expect to see these Denver Broncos do at the quarterback position. Are they going to run it back, as all signs point to at this point, with Drew? Or do you project some kind of a blockbuster trade, whether that's acquiring a Deshaun Watson, whether that's moving up to number 4? What do you expect to see for these Denver Broncos?
Oh, man, it's been the topic for the last, since the season ended last year. No, I'm sticking with Locke, dude. I'm sticking with Locke. Like I said last time I was on here, I like the kid. He's got to overcome some battles, and I guarantee you he's ticked off right now. All this backlash, all this crap about what they're going to do. This new general manager, George Paton, that was a great hire, man. I like the guy. My opinion, I guess, would matter what they're going to do in the first round. I don't know. I don't think they need to go up for a quarterback. We stick with Locke. If they want to get a quarterback, get in the third, fourth round. Jamie Newton from Georgia, obviously, or Kyler Mond from Texas A&M. I saw him play in the SEC, dude. That's a dark horse, and I would stick with Locke, Chad. I mean, he hasn't played a whole lot, man, and he just got if we give Garrett Bowles time, how come we can't give him time? Everybody talk about patience, man. Patience is a virtue. You got to bend a little bit, I think they should give him another year. If he busts, he busts. We get another one, That's my opinion about it.
Mark, I think it's a fair assumption to say that George Paton, in your eyes, has done a really good job so far this offseason as GM. Tell us, if you would, your favorite move he's made as GM, and conversely, what's the move that he's made that you haven't been such a big fan of?
The big move well, the biggest move I like that he's done was getting the two cornerbacks. Dorsey, if he can stay healthy, I mean, he's had last year he was good. I was surprised, but Kyler Fuller, yeah, I think he's made some good moves so far. He hasn't made no big blockbuster moves, but those two right there, they really can't, because we're hurting at that position, man. Just like I said last time I was on here, got to stay healthy, and it's just the way it is. And for the moves that I don't like that he's made, I think on Dorsey, I think he paid a little bit too much for that, for that contract. I mean, if you were a 3-time Pro Bowler in 3 years, then maybe. But when you have it, I don't know, man. He just he looks, like I said, if he can stay healthy, he'd be great. But I mean, I think it's a little bit too much. That's the only move I really don't like Paton.
Yeah.
There's a little bit too much money.
Zach, you had that article today that wasn't it PFF that kind of panned was a Bleacher Report that panned the Ronald Darby signing? Yeah. I mean, there's a lot. You can pick some nits on that one. And we had our misgivings at the time in terms of the contract. Not so much the player other than his health, but really the contract. And the one thing that gives me two things now, at least, modest comfort or confidence that it end up being a decent move for the Broncos is that, A, Paton and Fangio went out of their way to convey over and over again that they believe he is an ideal scheme fit for Fangio. And then B, you actually have a viable backup, because if the injury backup option, meaning not to replace him, but another good corner that you can count on in Kyle Fuller, because we know Darby has the health issues. And if something were to happen, at least you have one reliable corner without any real health issues, Mark.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I said Dorsey. Darby.
No, it's all good.
We
knew what you're talking about.
My bad. But I agree with you, Chad. I think if he can stay healthy and prove he's worth this, big time contract, maybe so. But I still like Caleb Farley. I still like that kid. For some reason, I know his draft stock is dropped a little bit. And everybody said Patrick Surtain is supposed to be the cream of the crop, but I don't know. Micah Parsons. Oh man, dude, if we can get him, I mean, I'm all for it, but them off the field issues, man, I scratching my head just a tad bit. So I don't know.
It kind of leads me into my next question before we get into that super that I saw on the screen. Mark, you're GM of the Broncos right now. Where do you go? Let's assume that you stay at number 9. What player are you taking, or at least targeting at that spot?
Or
position?
I would go defense, especially for a middle linebacker. And to be honest with you, I would trade back and get more picks. Maybe get another second, maybe get another third. Yeah. I mean, maybe get you can still, as long as you're in the first round of the 32 teams, you still can get a dang good corner. You can still get a dang good linebacker. You need to hit the linebacker, you need to hit the cornerback, and you also need to hit the offensive line. That's it. Do we need another safety? Yeah, we do, because what's his name is that towards the end, but
yeah,
we'll see, man. We'll see. That's what I would do. I would.
We got a super chat here from a fellow superstar, also a fellow Georgian, Dave from Georgia. Love you, bro. We are looking forward to having you on the show here in the very, very near future. He says, Mark, who is your favorite all-time Bronco? #state of being, baby. So that is a good question. I'm not sure that's one we asked Mark last time he was on the show.
No. Champ Bailey. Bailey. Okay. That's my first jersey that I got. Everybody thought I was going to say John. I love John Elway, but I love Champ Bailey for who he is, man. What he represent for the Broncos outside, what he did for his family, how he grew up. You ought to read the story about him sometimes. It's pretty interesting. He's just a great cat, man. And he is. And that's my locker number at my job. And, outside the break room is 24.
24.
Yes, sir. Champ Bailey.
Cool.
Champ Bailey, man.
Now, Mark, your least favorite of all time. I'm assuming he wears number 12 and he throws the ball.
No, I was going to say number 72, but gosh, he's
where's BNS,
dude? When you're having conversation with the crow on the back deck and you want to smoke a cigarette, it's not happening. Every Sunday, go. Okay. So I've eaten a lot of crow, and no, I don't want to hold you because he probably squeezed the living daylights out of me. But anyway, what's my least? Oh man, yeah, you got Paxton Lynch. I would have to go him, dude. It just
Yeah.
it's garbage. It's garbage. Any person that can go home and learn the playbook. Yeah, man, I got Madden.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's where I'm at with that.
Hey, one last one for you, Mark, and then
Yes,
we'll cut you loose.
Okay,
Being
sir.
that you are very evidently, obviously, as everyone knows, in Georgia, and then very evidently from your background there, a Bulldogs fan.
Yes, sir.
Is there a particular Bulldog prospect entering this year's draft that you are pining away, hoping and praying lands in Denver?
Eric Stokes.
Ooh, nice selection there.
Eric Stokes. He's underrated. Yeah. I mean, he hasn't had a whole lot of, his tackling could be a little bit better, but I like his high motor. He seems like he's got a good head on his shoulders. He's quiet. I don't think he has reaching that leadership potential yet, but Eric Stokes, yeah, I can see that. Oh, by the way, did you want to see the tattoo? There it is.
Yeah. Let's see it. Get a little closer though.
Yeah, that's right there. Yeah, that's actually the NFL shield in broken concrete, and that's Super Bowl 32 and 33, and then that's the Broncos. It's 6 years
so
old.
dope.
Yeah, it's 6 years old.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So when are you getting the Super Bowl 50 shield slapped on that?
Oh, right here, but that's gonna hurt. That's what I was going to sound like me. Yeah. I don't know about that. I'm still pondering because my wife is like, no more. I'm like, never say never. So
That's right.
But I've had it for 6 years, and it's everybody's like, man, I love the color, and I was like, well, appreciate that, thank you. But the one that means the most is my mother, the one I got on my left arm. So that means the most.
Sir.
Yes, sir.
We feel you on that. Well, very cool, Mark. Thank you so much for making some time for us, and also for being patient at the top of the show. We ended up rambling a little longer than we expected to, but always great catching up with you, my friend. As you know, we appreciate everything you mean to us as a channel, as a show, and then also to the community. So, man, thank you so much. I would tell everyone to find you and connect with you on Twitter, but as we were talking before we went live,
make it happen, Mark. You got to.
I know I got to get back on. It's been a couple of years. Actually, the reason why I got off is because I like myself. I speak my mind.
Yeah.
So that's
not a good place for Twitter to speak your mind if you go against the norms there.
Zach, I'm like you. I've learned my lesson.
Hey, it's toxic, man, but we'd love to see you on there. We'd love to connect with you on there.
I will. I promise I'll get back on with you guys. But let me let you guys go. And as
always,
buddy. Go Broncos.
All right. Appreciate you, Mark.
Love you too, big guys.
Talk to you soon. There he goes. Bona fide superstar Mark Langley.
The legend. He's just a legendary figure in this community chat. I was talking about this before you hopped into the green room. I mean, this is a guy who's been at least with the brand since 24/7, watching old Facebook Lives, and he's been so supportive. And he's such I mean this in the most complimentary way. He's such a character. He has so much personality. He exudes that, and he's so fun to talk to. I love having Mark on the show every time.
I thought it was interesting real quick, and then I want to grab some of these patient superstars and see what else is on everybody's mind tonight here. But I did think it was interesting. I wasn't sure because a lot of times, when you ask somebody about their college team that's a hardcore NFLer, right? Regardless of what their NFL team is, and you know that they have an alma mater or a favorite in college, and you ask them a specific question, you never know. It's like 50-50 chance they're going to actually know what they're talking about with regard to their team. It was interesting to me that he didn't spit out what's his name? Ojulari. I'm having a brain fart. Azeez Ojulari. He spit out Eric Stokes. And now for those of you who might have been a little bit lost, Eric Stokes is a late round 1, early round 2 caliber projected corner. And if you go watch the Eric Trickle Finding Broncos scouting report that's on our channel on YouTube, or just go find the article itself at milehighhuddle.com, he's a very intriguing option for this team if they trade back or in round 2, depending on what they do with the number 9 pick. I really like Eric Stokes a lot. if he landed in Denver as a second round pick, man,
Yeah.
I'd be singing the praises of George Paton.
I was going to say, yeah, if they don't go cornerback in the first round, starting at number 40 overall, I think Stokes would be a perfect fit in a Fangio defense. And obviously the Broncos need corner help. But the thing, to your point, Chad, he lived Georgia country, arguably is a bigger college area than it is NFL. So when you live in those places, you're indoctrinated with college football. That's like your mecca. It's like high school football in Texas. It's just a huge thing there. So Mark, he has a knowledge of the Broncos, but as a credit to him, he also has a knowledge of Georgia. So when those worlds combine, it's pretty interesting.
Michaela, thank you, my friend, for that very, very generous super chat. Means a lot to us, and I've missed you as well. I've missed everybody in this audience. All of our community just means so much to me. And you can even ask my wife. She's like shaking her head while we're gone. I'm having withdrawals from being on the podcast. And I moved some mountains to be able to come on, what was it? I think Wednesday night. But it was very kind of put a kink in our tail, so to speak. So that was that. But nevertheless, I did that because I miss you guys. So I appreciate you. Michaela says, welcome back, Chad. Good to see you. Hashtag MHH, Denver Broncos for life. And Zach, let them hate.
That's right. Chad, are you in the doghouse now? Do we put you in there?
No, not at all. No, dude, my wife is the coolest. My wife is the coolest. She's the bomb, right? Yeah. She is the bomb. So no, it never fret.
But she deserved to have some time with you as well. I mean, I understand from her point of view, she wanted you there, but I digress. Michaela, thank you. I mean, you've been truly incredible. We've talked about this when John and I have been on. Your donations and your support and your just generosity is so amazing. And Chad, we actually, while you were gone, we have a nickname now for Michaela. We have the princess, we have the queen.
Okay.
She is the Duchess of the Huddle Up podcast. Okay. That's Michaela.
Right. I like it.
We appreciate you.
Very fitting, Duchess. Good to see you. Appreciate you. Keep it coming. Real quick, John, if you see one from Randy Jones on Facebook, keep an eye out for Randy. I want to talk to Randy, and if we don't see it, he might not be in the chat tonight. If he's not, I'm still going to leave a message for him because he brought something up on Twitter relative to our Facebook community and especially our supporters and those who give stars on Facebook that I want to address. So keep an eye out for Randy. Meantime, Larry Vaughn, another bona fide superstar. One of these days, Larry, maybe the stars will align and we'll be able to get you on the show. I understand it's not in the cards right now, but it sure would be cool. Appreciate you, dog. He says, what up, Broncos country? Do y'all think no crowds played a part in Garrett Bowles balling out? And with the hopeful return of crowds, will this cause him to regress? I really don't think. Interesting point, Larry. Interesting question to analyze. If you're an offensive lineman, I mean, other than crowd, if you're in the doghouse and the crowd's spitting at you, spitting some venom at you, I don't really see how the crowd would affect offensive line. I could see how it could affect defense because when the defense is on the field, crowds get loud and, you might jump a snap. But offensive guys, I mean, they know the snap count. Like it shouldn't, whether there's butts in the seats or not, it shouldn't make a difference for them. But maybe he's touching on a thread I'm missing there, Zach.
Well, I mean, holding penalties across the NFL were down last year. Refs were kind of swallowing their whistles when it came to that. But I'm not going to take anything away from Garrett Bowles. And this is coming from one of the bigger Garrett Bowles critics that existed prior to last season. And I ate, like Mark said, every time I would go to discuss Garrett Bowles, a crow would be flying down my throat. I fully admit he was a top 1 or 2 or top 3 tackle in the NFL last year. And instead of harping on why that, looking that gift horse in the mouth, I'm going to just hold my fingers and cross my fingers that it's going to transfer to 2021 and he'll continue to be that stalwart tackle they drafted him to be. So, good luck to him.
Yeah, I think he turned a corner. And John, by the way, I don't know if there's a specific question. So I'm going to go ahead and do a quick segue real quick. So let me just do this because that way I can get it off my mind. Really quick, guys. For those of you are great supporters and that, our supporter base on Facebook has grown by leaps and bounds since we started dedicating content to the Facebook community. And we appreciate each and every one of you. And Randy brought up a point today on Twitter that, hey, how come the star senders on Facebook don't get as much focus and love, for lack of a better term, as the superstars do on YouTube? And I wanted to help you understand something here, Randy. And again, thank you for the stars, dog. Seriously, means a lot. You as well, Daniel. Muhammad, right? There he is, the male model. Brad. Each one of these, 3 of these guys I know for sure are supporters. Daniel, I'm not sure. But Randy, here's the answer. the platform that we utilize, all right, to stream to you, it's called StreamYard, all right, and it allows us to stream to 5 different destinations at one time. All right. That being said, for whatever reason, Facebook, when it's a stars comment, so if it's a comment or question that comes with some stars, it doesn't show up that way for us on StreamYard that we see, because we're in StreamYard. We're not on Facebook right now. All right. Meanwhile, the way it's set up is people on YouTube, when they super chat, StreamYard catches that, puts it in color, and we see it at the very top. We don't miss it. We can't miss it the way that StreamYard, for however they interact with YouTube. So we have asked StreamYard, we have been sending them emails and communicating with them to come up with a better system so that when Facebook commenters also send stars with a comment, that it pops up in the same way that a super chat does on YouTube, so that we recognize it and we don't miss anybody. But that's why at the end of each show, we'd like to circle back and do one of these screen caps and show everyone and thank everyone who did give us some stars. So Zach, we love and appreciate our Facebook supporters just as much as we do our YouTube superstars. Yep. And Randy, just so you know, we do have some plans here in the very, very near future to start also bringing on some Facebook supporters. And that's starting in May with Albert Knoppers. So keep it coming, keep bringing the passion, keep bringing the support. And we can look into bringing you on the show maybe at some point later this spring or early summer. So I just wanted to clarify that for our Facebook community.
And, we try, because when we get stars, Chad, the way they pop up, there's no question associated with it. So we thank people, of course, for their stars and their generosity. But at the end, we always do this. We always bring up the stars. We always thank everyone. Randy, we appreciate you airing that and constructively criticizing, I guess, the platform. But we want to make it a point to include everyone. We want to be all inclusive with everyone from every platform. And like Chad said, we have big plans starting next month for that.
And believe it or not, we do try to memorize. We're not great at it yet, because our supporter base on Facebook has grown exponentially in the last 2 months. We don't have every name memorized quite yet. We know who all our superstars are. We got them named and numbered in our hearts and minds. All right, but we're still getting up to speed on that with Facebook. So just keep in mind, we're trying to keep an eye on everybody in the chat that's on Facebook. Hopefully that'll improve here in the very near future. Meanwhile, let's grab BG again. Appreciate the second super of the night from BG. He says, I see Daniel Patty in the chat. If they have that for Darnold, what would they give up for Watson? OMG, we would have no chance. I'm not sure exactly what you're referring to there, BG. But nevertheless, I mean, Darnold's off the table. Watson, if you didn't have the radioactive allegations, he was going to command. There were teams that were willing and ready to give up 3 first-round picks to land Deshaun Watson. Were the Denver Broncos going to be one of those teams? I don't think so, and I've been trying to tell you guys that since January. Doesn't mean that George Paton hasn't been on the phone trying to kind of figure out what that cost is, maybe talk his way into a deal, but 3 first-round picks. What we know about George Paton, Zach, I don't think he was ever really seriously contemplating 3 first-round picks for Deshaun Watson.
And that's the starting price, is 3 first. That's not including the players, the additional picks, all that sort of compensation on top of taking on his contract. But there was a report that came out that the Panthers were the lone suitor for Sam Darnold. That means the Broncos weren't a suitor. And at that price, Chad, again, another indication, if they weren't willing to give up 3 draft picks, none of which were first rounders for a quarterback like Sam Darnold, it says to me, George Paton and Drew Lock, haters might want to cover their ears, cover their eyes, whatever, unmute their microphones right now. He likes Drew Lock a lot more than the fans do. Drew Lock's popularity and credibility and leash inside of Dove Valley is longer and better than it is outside. I think George Paton is a bigger Lock fan, Chad, than a lot of sect of Broncos country realizes.
That's what I've really been trying to help people understand. And I wrote about this today. And that is, I think if you were to poll Broncos country, probably within a 90th percentile, somewhere around there, it would be fans, with the exception of maybe Phillip Lindsay and with the exception of maybe the Darby signing, love what he's done. So if you trust George Paton's discernment, if you trust his read on these key issues personnel-wise up to this point, based on what you've seen from him, right, in free agency, who he kept, who he signed from the outside, the decisions he made, the deals he got done. If you trust him on that, and if his read is, I want to run it back with Drew one more year, trust him that he has a reason to believe that. does George Paton strike anybody as a sucker? Does George Paton strike anybody as, some sort of an imposter or an incompetent? Not I. All right. He might be a little bit inexperienced being the man in the chair. This is his first year in the chair, but he is as well versed, knowledgeable, expert on all things NFL and personnel, from draft to pro personnel, as anybody in the league. And so if his ultimate decision and read on this is Zach, Drew's our guy one more year, we're running it back. My guess would be the main reason for that isn't because John Elway's above him pulling strings. It's because he's betting on year 2 in the system with Shermer is going to provide some returns.
And a couple other things that Peyton isn't is impulsive, trigger happy. I mean, emotionally dominant in terms of running the job and doing his duties as the Broncos GM. He's very measured. And like Mark said, no bombshell signings. You can talk about the Simmons extension. You can talk about the Darby contract, but no major trades, no huge Bill Belichick type hauls in free agency. George Paton is smart and he has foresight. And like I mentioned yesterday, Chad, on the podcast, he's always playing 4D chess. He's seeing not just one move or two moves, but 4 and 5 moves down the road. He's not looking at just 2021, but 2022, 2023, and the entire length of his contract. And he's also saying to himself, listen, I was stuck with a lame duck holdover coaching staff, head coach and offensive coordinator. There is a decent to good chance neither will be there this time next year. So why risk it? Why trade all of that capital for a rookie quarterback, or when he was available to Deshaun Watson, if I'm going to have to maybe hit the reset button this time next year? It makes more sense in that case to run it back with the incumbents, the coaching staff, and the quarterback included, and try to make the best of a decent situation this coming season.
It would be a whole different issue if all we had seen from Locke through his 18 starts was garbage. If all we saw from Drew Lock was the Atlanta and Vegas game last year, those 2 road games, then you would be going, what are you seeing? In what way can you justify standing pat at quarterback? That was bad. That was not good. But that's not all that Drew has displayed as a pro up to this point. He's had some pretty impressive peaks. And the Broncos are the ones that got him there. They're front seat, right? They're riding shotgun with Drew. They're seeing the peaks, they're seeing the valleys, and they see enough there to justify it up to this point. That's our read on it. Now, it could change. They could end up making a trade and moving up to 4 and landing a Justin Fields. I just don't see it happening. Daniel on Facebook also gave us some stars. Appreciate you, Daniel. Move up to 4 or 5 to get Lance or Fields. I'm hoping for Fields myself, but I'm also all for being locked in for 2021. So I think that's a rather measured take, because here's the bottom line. Regardless of what the Broncos ultimately choose to do, Zach, at quarterback, bottom line is if it's Drew and a first-round quarterback, you're going to root for whoever the quarterback is, right? May the best man win. It's the Denver Broncos. You root for the name on the front or the logo on the front, not necessarily the name on the back.
And at this point, it's looking like there's, again, 2 avenues that Peyton can go for quarterback this year, and that's maintain the incumbency with Drew Lock or acquire a Fields or a Lance or a Mac Jones or whoever in the first round of the draft. We all have our preferences. Like, I would want Trey Lance if they were to trade up. I think Trey Lance will be better than Justin Fields. Zach Wilson, to me, though, is better than all of them in this class. So we all have our preferences, but ultimately, I'm looking at this realistically. I'm looking at this practical, and I think practicality is George Paton's calling card. And that says to me, based on, again, everything he's done or hasn't done to this point, Chad, sometimes the moves you don't make are more impactful than the moves you do make. And at this point, little interest in any quarterback. You didn't pick up Alex Smith. You didn't trade for Nick Foles. You didn't go all in on anyone. It's right now, the quarterback that he's thrown his support behind in words and in actions is Drew Lock. And until that changes, we have no reason to think that he's going anywhere, Lock.
Yep. And my point too, on top of that again, is trust, if that's what his, if that's what Peyton's read is, that the Broncos are better off rolling with Drew this year than reaching and trying to trade up for a Q or giving up the farm for a Watson. Trust him that he knows what he's doing. All right. Trust him that he knows what he's doing. Randy, there's a good question from Randy Jones. Appreciate you, Randy. He says, what do you think it would cost to move up from pick 9 to pick 4? Well, I guess we can pull up the old value chart here, because I got to Let me see it. Value chart. Let me pull it up real quick. The last time I tried to guess off the top of my head, I was way off the mark because I don't have this value chart. So Zach, here, let me just do a quick share screen here so everyone can see the value chart. All right. And for what it's worth, guys, this was something that is frankly a little bit outdated. It was coined by Jimmy Johnson of the Dallas Cowboys back in the day, back in the late 80s, early 90s. And it's kind of been used as a compass, so to speak, by outside media ever since. But my understanding on this is that the whole NFL value, chart, Zach, has kind of evolved. And of course, you would expect it to evolve over the years. But here's at least kind of a ballpark. This puts you in the ballpark. All right. Broncos sit at number 9. That pick is worth 1,350 points on the chart. All right. Pick 4 is for the Atlanta Falcons that they currently hold. That's worth 1,800. So the Broncos would have to get 500, close the distance of 550 points to just to match the value of that. Well, they already have 1,800 points. They got that in the pocket. So you would actually probably need to beat that. You would need to go above and beyond 1,800 points to get the new GM there, Zach, Terry Fontenot, going, yeah, I'm listening. So it would probably take, let's look here. All right, the Denver Broncos sitting at number in the second round. Let me see here. Let me find it. At number 40, that pick's worth 500 points. So you're giving up your second round pick. You're probably giving up your third round pick as well. So if you were to give up your second and your third, maybe, because he would still be, if you're Terry Fontenot, Zach, you're still picking in the top 10 if you were to make that deal. So that might get it done. We don't know.
What's interesting, though, this would be a deal between 2 rookie general managers in Fontenot and George Paton. The thing is, though, Fontenot has all of the leverage, literally all of it. He knows the Broncos would desperately want a quarterback. He knows the Broncos are doing whatever it takes to get a quarterback. And I believe he would hold firm. I want a first-round pick, either a future first-rounder or some sort of combination of picks to justify me moving down. Because I've been saying this for a while now. There's no certainty that Atlanta's going to move out of his spot at number 4. There's no certainty they're going to trade down. They might stay put and take Kyle Pitts. They might take Penny Sewell. They may take Jamar Chase. They can take literally or a quarterback. They can take whoever they want. They're guaranteed a top 5 blue chipper. So knowing that, and as smart as Fontenot has been in New Orleans working under Mickey Loomis, I think he knows he'd have all the leverage in that scenario, and I think he would proposition Peyton to give up a first rounder. I don't think they're going to move from 9 to 4 without surrendering a first.
This is one of the many reasons Mark Langley is a bona fide Mount Rushmore superstar. He blows our hair back. I don't have much hair left, as you guys know. I've embraced the bald a long time ago. All right, but he still blows my hair back with his support. Very generous super chat here, and you know you didn't have to do that, Doug. But we know the heart you have, and we know the how much you care about your community, how much you care about people, how much you care about us, and it's not always about money, right? It's about the relationships. It's about all the little things that go into the dynamic we have with our audience, and that we have in particular with Mark. So just thank you, dude. Seriously, I don't know what else I could say. He says, had fun. Thanks, guys. As always, go Broncos. Hats off, Mark.
I do have some hair, and it's definitely blown back, as you can see, and that's not from the hat, Mark. That's from you. We appreciate you so much, and like I said off camera to you, and like I said on camera to you, you are a certified, living, breathing legend of this brand, of this podcast. I love talking to you. You are legitimately, Mark, one of my favorite people on the internet. I've loved communicating with you, crossing paths with you. Thank you so much for your support. It's so appreciated.
Another superstar that's up there on Mount Rushmore. Excuse me, frog in my throat. 1 second. DW, you guys know him. Dale in paradise out there in Hawaii with a very, very generous, and I'm guessing here very symbolic as well, super chat of $58.58. Dale, I've missed you, dude. I've missed you. I've missed the entire community. Love you. Appreciate you. He says, LOL, got the stud trifecta on today. Get it, Mark. Let's start spreading the word now to our whole cast here to get to next year's draft in Vegas. We got to clank some tankers around here. LOL. Zach, has that been determined where the draft's going to be in 2022? Is it Vegas?
I think, yeah, they're giving him another chance, which should be interesting.
Look, if that's indeed how it shakes out, Yeah, we're going to set something up. Our plans for last year before the old pandemic hit was phenomenal. I'll give you a preview. This is what we're going to do again at some point. And if it does come back in 2022 to Vegas, this is scratching the surface on what we have planned. We had rented, all right, a ballroom, all right, in one of the casinos and the hotel casinos, on the Strip that was close to where all the action was going on for the draft. And what we were planning on doing was having a little host kind of get together there for any of our community members. And we're going to, here's some food, here's some finger food, here's some drinks or whatever, kick back, meet and greet. And then Zach and I were going to broadcast the nights that we were there. So that will happen again. We just aren't sure, Dale, when. And when that time comes, of course, we'll be very outspoken and letting everybody know when, where, how, all that stuff. And we would love, dude, it would be so great to meet you, to meet as many of our great community members as possible.
It's a matter, I think, of when, not if, we're going to have some sort of podcast, meetup, meet and greet event, whatever. It's well and long overdue. And Chad, I cannot wait to meet members of the community, if only just to buy you a drink and thank you for your support, including UDW. Thank you so much.
And it would be cool if JT could come from across the pond. Now, that would be a pretty big ask, right? Because he's in the United Kingdom. But JT, love you, bro. Hope all is well with the new baby. I'm going to be in your shoes here very, very soon. My wife's due in early June. And so, and I've been there before. This isn't my first rodeo. I feel your pain. He says, my guys, baby's awoken, which means I can quickly jump in and show some love. I'll listen after the fact on my commute in the morning. Remember, hashtag like, share, subscribe, hashtag state of being. Appreciate you, JT. It's always great to see you in the chat, dog.
Yeah, he was incredible when he came on the show, JT. Very knowledgeable guy, very good follow, and we appreciate you. Thank you.
All right, we're sitting here at 51, almost 52 minutes. We're going to grab Dave here next. But real quick, John, I just want to give you an update of what I see in the background, because the stream just did a jump. And I have Edward at 656 is the next closest one within my grasp. And in fact, real quick, Zach, why don't you read Dave's super, and I'll riff off you grabbing his super chat.
Yeah, Dave jumping in, $10 super. Dave, again, we appreciate you so much, rocking the Let Him Hate t-shirt. He goes, hey guys, is Alex Smith still available? Yes, he is. Outside of him, our best option seems to be rolling with Rippin. Your thoughts? Hashtag Broncos country, hashtag Let Him Hate, baby. He is still a free agent, and we talked about this on yesterday's show. He wants Chad to start. He's adamant about starting for a team. He doesn't want to settle for a backup job, so he's being smart right now, waiting for an injury to strike, waiting to see how the draft shakes out and how teams set their quarterback boards. He's not going to sign until the summer. I would still be surprised if he signs in Denver. Best option, you can trade for Gardner Minshew. You can trade for Nick Foles. You can trade for a reduced cost Teddy Bridgewater, or you can roll with Brett Rippon. It's possible. I wouldn't say it's likely, but it's possible the Broncos could just return their top two quarterbacks from last year in Locke and Brett Rippon.
All right, let's grab Dave. Dave, thank you, brother. Seriously, I love Alex Smith as an option for Denver. Zach, up to this point, because he's a guy that comes in. He can move the chains on third down, competently feed the playmakers. By the way, am I breaking up right now?
You're good.
Okay. Competently feed the playmakers, distribute the ball. I have no doubt of that. The problem is you got to worry still. I know he got cleared by the Washington football team last year and all that stuff and taking his first hits back and all that. But I still worry about that. Like, I think he would be good to come in and be that mentor and step in. But Zach, as you said, he still believes he can and should be a starter in the league. And if it weren't for his grievous injury that nearly cost him his life, he certainly would be by now. So he'd have been signed up a long time ago.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for him, but he did show well last year. He kind of helped lead them to a division title. Taylor Heineke stepped in and kind of stole some of his shine, but it sucks because teams have their starting quarterbacks for the most part set going into the draft, and those who don't are probably going to draft a quarterback. So yeah, I wouldn't look for Alex Smith to sign anywhere until deep into the summer, and I'd be really surprised if he settles for a backup job behind Locke or a rookie.
All right, Dante Martinez, a newer name on Super Chat. Welcome. Thank you, my friend. We got to really kind of rapid fire these remaining supers. By the way, I'm noticing here, Zach, we have a new a new little signifier in our menu up here that we see how many people are on in the live chat, right? We've always been able to see that. But I keep seeing a little thing pop up showing internet, a Wi-Fi connection that shows you if you have a good connection, which is clutch. That is clutch.
Yeah.
StreamYard trying to communicate with their creators whether or not your Wi-Fi is good. So that's cool. Dante, love you too, dog. We don't know you, but we love you. He says, I'm loving the podcast, guys. Zach, where can I get the cap? Excited for the draft. # Denver Broncos for life. Where can Dante get that dope Denver Broncos flat bill?
I'm not gonna lie. I was on Twitter and I saw Melvin Gordon wearing it. This was, I believe, going into training camp last year, and I looked up where he got it and I traced it to a local apparel shop in San Diego. Obviously, he played for the Chargers. He frequented that place. I believe it was the last one. I can try to find the website, but it was a very I believe it was like a mom and pop San Diego apparel store, and unfortunately they had the cap. There's other variations of it, Chad, different colors, but this one to me with the AFC logo on the side, it's just it called to me.
I had a hat just like that. And it ended up going going to one of my kids because I made the mistake of wearing it out one day to mow my lawn in the middle of the summer. And I got the sweat stains on it. Even after I freaking washed it, put it through the dishwasher, did everything I could to save it, I couldn't save it. And I still lament that loss to this day. Edward, appreciate you, dog. Superstar. Welcome back, Chad. Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm feeling the love. He says, Denver Broncos for life, state of being. Let them hate. Edward, always great to see you, dog. Appreciate you. Josh Alstrom, another great superstar. He says, headline, Drew Lock takes massive leap and goes from 32 to 20. Yay! Whoop-de-frickin' do. You still don't have a top 16 quarterback. I feel you. Listen, dude, I think people are reading too much into the whole ranked 32 thing with Drew, all right? And they're going straight to the box score. And, the scouting snobs out there will say, talk about how much they hate the box score scouts, people that just look at the stats and that's all they do. Look, we all did, everyone that's in this chat right now, I feel confident, including you, Josh, you watched just about every snap of Drew last year, right? And in so doing, you saw at times some alarming signs of regression with his base, his footwork, his platform, his reads, they weren't on point. But what you're missing is when he started steadying things out, started solid, then went like this when he came out of his injury. Then he came back up and kind of plateaued from week 11 on. And I would say he peaked really in week 14 against the Panthers with that 4 touchdown, just shy of 300 passing yards, 0 picks. That was kind of his peak performance of 2020. But he didn't just do that and then go again. He still stayed relatively solid the rest of the year. And that's why I think with Drew, look, that's him still fighting through his injury. That's him still not having his number one wideout. That's him still playing in a scheme that was brand spanking new, very few reps before the season started. So take that, what you knew about Drew coming out of 2019, all right, those 5 starts. Take that mindset you had about Drew Lock, everyone, with very few exceptions. I mean, I can't even think of anyone right now within the Denver Broncos media and fan landscape that came out of 2019 poo-pooing over Drew in his 5 starts. So go back to that mindset you had and say, look, I believe that Drew Lock in the same scheme year over year for the first time since his sophomore to junior year in college, we're going to get back closer to that week 11 through week 17, 2020, or if you prefer week 13 through week 17, 2019. That's what the Broncos think, Josh. And listen, if he does go from 32 to 20, however you want to measure it, right? Because there's a lot of stats that Drew had that were not number 32 ranked, right? They were a lot better than that. But let's say he only jumps from 32 to 20, Zach. That's with this defense, you're winning games, dude. You're still going to win some games. And he's in his 3rd year and he's taking steps forward. But, Jay Cutler had his coming out party in year 3. And his year 2 was actually very similar to Drew's in that he had some health issues. Now, in Cutler's case, it wasn't an injury. It was him not realizing he had type 2 diabetes, losing a bunch of weight, not realizing why he had no energy, not realizing why he had no focus. They finally figured out what it was. The Broncos went 7-9, all that stuff. But nevertheless, similarities in that there were physical obstacles that had to be overcome. They were overcome. And then the next year, they popped, or Cutler did. I'm expecting something similar from Drew. Maybe not Pro Bowl caliber, but something similar, a pretty palpable step forward.
Yeah, the lock, the whole argument, it's so beaten down into the ground at this point. Josh, you're entitled to your opinion on him. I agree, though, with what Chad was saying. I'm not saying this is what the Broncos should settle for or all that lock will be, but if you get a top 20 quarterback, meaning a quarterback that doesn't turn the ball over, can manage the game, and can just not lose the game and not be stupid, the Broncos will be a playoff team this season. No injuries, having that defense, having continuity on the coaching staff, having the weapons on offense around Locke. I mean, they are a decent quarterback away, whether it's Locke or somebody else, from really making a lot of noise with this win now roster. So if that is the number 20 overall guy, if he's average, the Broncos will be a playoff team. I can hope he makes that leap, but I'm with you, Chad. I think he'll make an even bigger leap and be in the top half of NFL signal callers.
Burn the Guitarist, a.k.a. Zach. Appreciate you, dog. He says, something interesting. Ian Rappaport said the Panthers were the only suitors. Paton obviously isn't overly worried about our QB situation. He's not, guys. And I know there's a lot of fans out there who have bought into the negativity, I'll just say the negative hype on Drew, and they're scratching their heads. Why has George Paton sat on the sidelines while all these deals are getting done? It's because he doesn't feel the same way as the negative hype that is, frankly, at times irrational on Drew Lock. He believes in Drew at some level. Now, is that Paton saying he's our guy for the next 15 years? No. But he has told you himself, we like Drew Lock. All right? Fortunately for us, we have a quarterback. That, to me, was the most telling thing he has said on the subject up to this point, Zach, is not just that we like Drew Lock. Fortunately, as if it's a blessing from the football gods, fortunately for us, we're the Denver Broncos. Thank God we have a quarterback. So read into that what you will, but it's coming out in the wash the same way we've been telling you it's probably going to come out in the wash.
Exactly. And again, it's a simple point that I want to just tack on. George Paton is much higher on Locke than a lot of the fan base is, a lot of the media is, and Paton's opinion, more so than ours and anyone else's out there, matters the most. He's making the calls for this team. And so far, based on what he said and the actions and the inactions he's done, it says to me that Locke has a longer leash as the Broncos starting quarterback than a lot of fans would want to believe.
Crudum, good to see you, my friend. And we are looking forward to having you on the show here in the near future. I'm trying to remember the exact date. I know we that's the wrong month. Hello, what month are we in, dude? Mark tonight, of course. Next week, it's Dave from Georgia. The 21st, we have a special guest that we'll be announcing soon. And then the 28th is when we have Crudum on the show. We look forward to that, dog. He says, please, no trade for Teddy Bridgewater. Either stick with Locke or draft if Paton truly still intends to touch the QB room. I don't know about you guys, but I'm convinced one of these top QBs will fall to us at 9. I'm on the fence about drafting a quarterback. Yeah, I feel you. I'm not on the fence. I'm still very much against drafting a quarterback with that number 9 overall pick, but I'm with you in that one of those 5 will drop. It's going to be Mac Jones. And so if Mac Jones drops if one of them does drop, I do think it's Mac. And if he's there at 9 for the Broncos, show of hands in the chat. Are you wanting the Denver Broncos to use the number 9 pick on Mac Jones?
I'm not raising my hand because I think in that scenario, Chad, I think the Broncos would trade down. I think they would get a king's ransom from the Patriots or the Saints or the Bears, a team that wants to come up for a quarterback. And Mac Jones, depending on how high they rank him, they can get maybe a first or a combination of picks. I don't think, though, a GM who wasn't at either pro day for a quarterback is going to take that quarterback if he falls to his lap. I think Mac Jones on the board number 9, don't be surprised they move back. That's my opinion.
PhD, we got Dr. Christopher L. Bush, who has increasingly become more and more outgoing on Super Chat. Really appreciate you, Christopher. He says, for your information, here in Topeka, Kansas, crickets since the Chiefs lost. No Chiefs talk, no Red Friday. I love it. Chiefs fans practicing social distancing since the Super Bowl.
What's Red Friday? That sounds pretty awful.
It's a Kansas City, It's a Kansas City cultural thing that they do to support the Chiefs before game day, right? It's the Friday before you can wear your if you work in an office job or something, you can wear your Chiefs jersey
It's
to
like
work on
casual
Fridays.
Friday.
Yeah, it's like that.
Gotcha.
But yeah, dude, we feel you. We feel you definitely. We got one here from Brian Van Vorst, a newer name on Super Chat. Welcome. It's Flute Guy. Okay.
Yep.
Dope. Good to see you, dog. He says, I hope Sam Darnold improves in Carolina, just like I hope Locke improves in his third year. Welcome back, Chad, and keep up the great work, Priest. Thanks, my friend. Thank you. And are we connected on Twitter, Brian, by the way? Because I want to say we're not. Connect with us on Twitter so we can keep the conversation going, shout you out after the show. Larry jumping in. Appreciate you again, Larry. People hate on Micah Parsons for the hazing issues in his past. All right, these are like 3-year-old issues. But they looked the other way on the Peyton Manning allegations about something he did in a locker room way back in the Tennessee days in the late 90s. Hashtag get Parsons at 9. It's a fine point, Larry. Appreciate you, dog. Here's the thing with Peyton Manning. Those allegations were unfounded. There was no other witness. I'm not trying to demean anybody in that whole back and forth, whatever happened or didn't happen. All right. But in the case of Parsons, to my understanding here, Zach, is that there were not only other witnesses, but like fellow perpetrators. There were other eyeball witness people involved that could in one way or another corroborate what took place with Parsons. But your point, Larry, is not lost on us. Look, people change. All right. And in the case of Parsons, and even if what Peyton did back then in Tennessee, or was accused of doing, I should say, in Tennessee, even if it were true to the T, people change. Young college people. I mean, I shudder to think at some of the dumbass stuff I did from 18 to 22. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm surprised I'm still alive. All right. So my point being, though, people change. I'm a big believer in second chances, but it's like Ronald Reagan, former president of the United States, used to say with regard to foreign policy. Trust, but verify. All right. If he's telling you that he's changed, Micah Parsons, do your best through your scouting department and your security department at the Denver Broncos to verify that.
It was also pre-social media. It was a whole different time back then. I mean, it was archaic. Things weren't spreading like wildfire. You couldn't have fans talking to Peyton Manning, and you wouldn't have these media check marks constantly wringing their hands about what he did that was so bad. And let's not mistake it. What Peyton was accused of was bad. What Parsons is being accused of is bad. But the key word there is accused, not charged, not convicted, not guilty. These are all allegations. And I firmly believe, and I said this on last night's show, the Broncos being at the Penn State Pro Day, being around Parsons, I think it cleared up some of that static surrounding him as a potential top 10 prospect. And again, you don't overlook talent. This wouldn't be a Reuben Foster situation in Denver. You'd have a strong culture and a strong locker room. You have veterans, you have young players, you have talent. And again, I said this last night and I'll say it again. Whether Parsons goes to the Broncos or any other team, winning cures all. If whatever team he's on wins and he helps them win, no one will talk about these allegations. They will be instantly forgotten. But the second he starts playing bad, the second that team starts losing, everyone will be, throwing those allegations back up and making him confront it again. This is what happens, though. A large part of it, I'm not excusing all of it, a large part is what happens, though, when you're that young, when you have that much fame and you have that much clout, that much pressure, and also you're in college. Again, I said this last night, Chad. These people, these are kids. They're 20, 21 years old. It's the same reason last year not me, not Chad, but a lot of fans and media were destroying Jerry Jeudy for his immaturity. But he's a 21-year-old kid fresh out of college. Micah Parsons plays in a big-time school, in a big-time program. He's a star player, potential top 10 pick. I did stupid things in college. I did stupid things when I was 20, 21. Maybe not what he's being accused of, nor have you, I'm assuming, Chad. But, we all made mistakes. And like you said, people can change. Look at Ryan Leaf, for example, what he's been through in his life. And now he's an advocate for substance abuse. I mean, people can turn around. And Micah Parsons, I feel what he's done and he's being indemnified for. He didn't commit mass murder. mean, let's keep it in perspective here. What he did, what he's being accused of anyway, is not great. But I don't think those allegations, those assumptions kind of outweigh the talent or the player or the man that he could be.
And we also know, not to excuse it, but I mean, hazing is a pretty it's been tamped down quite a bit over the last decade, but
it's
hazing is a thing
in every school, Chad, every school across the country. You just don't get reported on it.
Rick, good to see you, my friend. Appreciate the super chat. You have come on very strong lately, so keep it up, my dog. You're working your way toward being a superstar. Draft pick order. So I assume this is what Rick wants to see. Maybe it's what he's predicting. For the Broncos, a linebacker, corner, safety, offensive line, receiver, defensive line, running back, quarterback. So he's wanting a Mr. Irrelevant type option at quarterback. And honestly, that's more likely to be the case this year than a Paxton Lynch or a, top 5 pick or the Broncos moving up, etc. It's a later round guy.
Yeah, I can see that. I don't know about 7th round, but I can see maybe, 3rd or 4th round for sure. I think that's more likely than a big splash on day one.
In the shop with Willie, good to see you, bro. Appreciate you. He says, welcome back, Chad. What's the schedule looking like? Are we talking about the Denver Broncos schedule, I assume? Or are we talking about, I wasn't sure if he was asking me, Zach, about MHH schedule. But the Broncos schedule, thank the football gods, finally is in the bottom 5 in terms of strength of schedule. So there's going to be a little ease up on them this year.
And they got an extra home game, as we reported on recently. They got the game against the Lions. That's their week 18 game, which is still weird to say. 17 games next year, 18 weeks. It's just, I'm not used to that yet. But yeah, the Broncos should have an easier schedule. And with that talent they have on that team, I think it could be a very fine season in Denver, maybe even a playoff season.
John, just for what it's worth, I'm current for the next few. Christy, the Queen, jumping in. We've had an appearance tonight from the Duchess. We got the Queen from the top rope. I know last night's show, you guys had the Princess of MHH made an appearance. So the gang's all here. The royalty is all here. Christy, love you, appreciate you. Hope you're doing well. Hope things are going okay. Hope the softball schedule gives you some time still to breathe. You know what I'm saying? I feel your pain on that.
We're going to have the royal family. That's the 3 of them, Chad. That's the name for it's Christy, Pobby, and Michaela, the royal family
right.
of the podcast. We appreciate you, Christy, though. Thank you so much.
Much love. We got also Jennifer King jumping in, who has come on strong the last month or two. Appreciate you, Jennifer. She says, just showing appreciation for the Priests and Broncos country as a whole. Football is family, as they say. Be sure to like and comment all. Hey, appreciate the support. And hey, it's a good reminder, guys. You're hanging out. Even if you only watched a minute of tonight's live stream, give it a like. All right. It helps us out a lot. That's the least you can do for us showing up and providing you some content here this evening and breaking down your team. All right, Zach, we're at an hour 12. We have some very patient superstars we got to get to, but we got to be like rapid fire, like the most rapid of rapid fires, or else we're going to run out of time and we don't want to miss anybody. So let's start here with Calvin. Love you, dog. Appreciate you. You've come on just coming on strong lately, dude. Keep it up. He says, what's up, Broncos country? Rather, it's Parsons or Surtain at 9. I'm with it, but us being silent at quarterback wouldn't be surprising if it's a draft day trade up 4-1. Yeah, but here's the thing, Calvin. Appreciate you, dog. Usually those tectonic, blockbuster, ground-shifting trades up into the top 5, they occur long before the draft. Usually if you see a maneuver up the board on draft day, it's someone going from like the teens to 10 or the 20s to, 10. Like look at the Broncos, for example, 2 years ago with Noah Fant sitting there at pick 10. The Steelers wanted to move up from 20. That's what you usually see on draft day. It's rare that you see someone on draft day maneuver into the top 5. So doesn't mean that there can't be an opportunity for it, but those type of moves, it's because you've made a decision. You're relatively confident that by making that move, Zach, it's going to get you a specific prospect that you have your heart set on. And in order to justify that, you and actually guarantee it, you got to make that plan. You got to make that move well in advance. Because if you do wait till draft day and that is your guy, there are other teams that might be thinking the same thing that could beat you to the punch.
Yeah, there's two schools of thought. You said everything pretty perfectly there. Either the Broncos, their inactivity at quarterback is a prelude to Locke running it back for another season, or it's a prelude to the Broncos making a splash on day one of the draft for Fields or Lance or whoever. I think the first option is likelier, but we shall see what happens at the end of the month.
All right, John, the stream did just jump. I was able to grab Bama X here. The next is Christian at 7:30. However, we have Simon, Shadowjack, crewed him again. Jake King, crewed him again. Contender View. We got another one from D-Dub in between. So those are some of the names to start pulling up here, and we'll take care of Bama X. Hey, man, we've missed you. It's been a minute since we've seen you in the live stream. Appreciate you. He says, evening. It's been a while since I caught a live stream, but I still catch shows here and there once they go up on YouTube. But just to reiterate, I'm against Denver drafting another rookie quarterback when you consider Shermer's record. Bama X, thank you. Zach, this is something you touch on a lot. Do you really trust Justin Fields, Trey Lance, take your pick, under the wing of Pat Shurmur? I don't mind it with Mike Shula. I actually have a lot more trust for Mike Shula than I do Pat Shurmur. But it's Pat Shurmur that's calling the plays. It's Pat Shurmur making the game plan week in, week out. Do you trust that for a Justin Fields or whomever?
How could you after watching how he failed miserably and epically last year with Drew Lock, a young quarterback who needed refinement? And if they take either Fields or Trey Lance, those quarterbacks would need refinement. So is Pat Shurmur, the coach, being a rumored quarterback whisperer who only had one decent season with Case Keenum on his resume that justifies that title? Is he the guy to turn the Broncos operation around? And his boss is Vic Fangio, who needs a winning record and or a playoff season, I think, to keep his job going forward. So if you take a quarterback at that spot or trade up for one, I'll say it again, you're faced with the prospect of him being under the guidance, I use that term very loosely, of Pat Shurmur, and then Pat Shurmur being fired and having him learn another offensive system. So you can argue if you take a quarterback this year, he would be a rookie for 2 years, having to learn two different playbooks. That's the fly in the rub for me, Chad. That's the issue, is Pat Shurmur is the one in charge of developing quarterbacks, and based on last year, he hasn't done that.
Simon, good to see you, my friend, up there north of the 49th parallel, proving Broncos country is not a geographic location. It is a state of being. It is wherever you are. And Simon is in Canada. We appreciate you, Simon. He says, hopefully the quarterback gossip dies down for a bit. I'm looking forward to Locke balling out this year. However, if Locke's mechanical/footwork issues persist, then I'm out. Locke needs to put the work in now for success this season. Well said, Simon. Well said, dog. Listen, if those issues do persist, and I don't think you're ever going to see him completely eliminate him. He doesn't have to be honest with you.
Right.
I mean, I don't want no one mistake this for me comparing Drew to a Hall of Famer. All right. But did you ever go back and look, like truly study Brett Favre's mechanics and his technical discipline? It was god awful, but he figured out how to play the position without being technically proficient because of his other just ungodly gifts and talents. Now, Drew's not on that level. We all know that. We can all acknowledge that. But he's a guy that I think does have enough talent that if he at least narrows it down, all right, hones it down to a point where it becomes manageable and it's not a consistent theme, then it'll be all right. But if he slips up here and there, no big deal. It just can't be something that's a constant.
Here's a trivia question. How did Favre end his Vikings tenure? With an interception. I mean, you can't coach a gunslinger to be an Alex Smith game manager. Locke is a gunslinger. He's always going to throw picks. Every quarterback throws picks, even Patrick Mahomes. But like Chad said, the point is cutting those picks down, and the non-picks he's throwing is converting those throws into worthwhile yardage for the Broncos offense. He doesn't have to necessarily win the game, Drew Lock. He just can't lose the game for the Broncos.
All right, we got one here from Shadow Jack R, and we got to move it quick here, so thank you, Shadow. Your divine footballness, if Peyton nails it with the future quarterback in this draft, how will this tarnish Elway's legacy as a GM? How high? Mile high. I love that, dude. Well, let me submit something into this equation, Zach. What if by nailing it, Peyton actually chooses to run it back with Drew and it pays dividends? would you still count that, Jack, as nailing it?
Right.
Because he's facing a pivotal decision here. It's the future of the franchise on the table. And so you got to include that as one of the possibilities. But no, if it's a non-Drew quarterback, excuse me, that is procured by Paton, whether it's this draft or another draft, that goes on to be the guy, Elway's legacy as a GM, henceforth and forever, even if Drew ends up being like a Derek Carr level quarterback in the league, which to me, that's like, that's probably his ceiling. Even if that happens, Elway's going to be remembered as the guy that landed Peyton Manning, won a Super Bowl, but then couldn't get the quarterback position right.
Yeah, you know what? Also, I'm a huge fan of George Paton. I have been before he even got the job. I think he was a home run hire, and every move he's made, for the most part, has justified that praise. But let him win something first. Let him win at least a game, let alone a title, before we start talking about him taking over Elway's legacy. Elway was a legend before he even stepped into the GM office, Chad. I mean, he won the Broncos 2 titles. He won another as an executive. Peyton has a long way to go to reaching that level of status in Denver, but nailing the quarterback of the future, doing the one thing that Elway could not do, being a Hall of Fame quarterback, that would go a long way to, decreasing that gap. I'm a big fan of Peyton, but let's be a little patient.
Correct him again. Thanks, brother. He's clarifying here. Also, I want to make it clear, I'm all for Locke. I'm still a Locke fan and supporter. Appreciate that, dude. Seriously. Yeah. We feel you. We feel you. I mean, the bottom line is Broncos country is tired of having a good team, but questions of the quarterback. So, but here's the thing again, guys, and I don't want to flog a dead horse because we got so many to get to still, but if Drew had shown you nothing up to this point, then there's no question. You got to bail. You got to be putting enough pressure on Peyton from the outside now to say you got to find an upgrade. But that he hasn't been Paxton Lynch over 18 games. He's been up and down. And those ups at certain points have been very, very impressive. And the Broncos have gone this far. They've walked the desert with him up to this point. You turn away from that now, you risk losing or the opportunity to reap the very rewards that you sacrificed to get. So it's a tough situation. It's an existential conundrum that he's staring down, Zach, but I think he's already telling everybody really what his thoughts are on the whole Drew Lock issue.
I just can't believe there's people that actually exist that live and breathe among us that want to, associate Drew Lock with Paxton Lynch. I mean, Lock cleared that up his rookie year. He went 4-1. He was looking like the future of the franchise. At what point did Paxton Lynch ever show any glimpse of looking like the future of the franchise? Everything was theoretical with him. It's not all theoretical with Drew Lock. Does he have a ways to go? Yes. Literally no one disputes that. Lock's own mother would not dispute that. But he's also not as bad either as Broncos fans and media want to paint him to be. He will have unvarnished, hopefully, one final shot of being the Broncos' future quarterback. And Chad and I will be the first ones to say, if he doesn't cut it, he should be gone. He should be replaced. But to say he should be replaced now, to me, it's a little knee-jerk before he gets that opportunity. I don't understand how that's such a hard concept to understand.
Especially, Zach, if 2020 had just been a traditional season in terms of the pandemic not being a factor, and he struggled the way he did, and the only real thing you could point to as excuses were the new coordinator and no Cortland Sutton, I'd be a lot more amenable to the idea that there's some there in terms of the negative perception that exists on Drew. But that's just not what it was in 2020. Those two things were a factor, most definitely. All right, the Shermer and the not having Sutton thing, but really what ultimately cost Locke was the injury and having the system without the OTA reps and without the preseason reps. If he would have got the preseason reps, Pat Shermer said this himself. Zach, I want to say it was like late October. He said something to the effect of during one of his weekly pressers. The plays we're running now, the reps that our offense is getting now is the very same number of reps up to this point they would have gotten like basically 2 weeks into preseason or something like that. So he was very much learning on the fly, and you don't say that to totally excuse his the downs, the ups, the downs. It's just giving you context to help you understand how the Broncos are viewing this. All right, Jake, appreciate you, dog. Good to see you. He says, I hope Mark gets his wish and we are able to come away with Eric Stokes. I love his game. I agree. He is underrated. Yeah, wouldn't mind seeing him in Denver, just not in a top 20 pick. If he's late first or second, man, you don't look that gift horse in the mouth.
Agreed. Number 40 is I'd be all for that if they don't go corner in round 1.
Crudum again, man. Thank you, dog. Question: is it insane to think of grabbing one of these quarterbacks as a contingency in case Locke flops and you blow everything up next year? Just bouncing ideas. Well, it's not crazy on its face, Crudum, but then what you got to wonder is what it's going to take to get one of those guys. All right. So unless you're saying take Mac Jones at pick 9, no one else is going to be there, dude. I'm telling you, I don't think any of those first 4 are going to drop. The top 4 guys aren't going to be there at 9. Maybe Mac Jones, maybe. And is that a guy that you want waiting in the wings? If Drew Lock fails, he's not going to save you this year. He might be able to help you next year if you think Mac Jones is the truth. Meanwhile, what did you give up to take that chance? You could have grabbed a Micah Parsons. You could have grabbed a player that could have helped Drew or could have helped Vic in 2021. Win now.
The only way the Broncos acquire a rookie and Locke still starts this year is if that rookie is not taken on day 1. If they take a quarterback in the first round, that quarterback likely is starting or at least competing to start. And that would signal the Locke era is coming to a close. Because if you commit to a first-round quarterback, that's a pretty heavy and significant investment. And you would want that guy to be the face of your franchise. Because how would it look, Chad? Let's say the Broncos took Mac Jones. That would be a controversial pick on its face. But then you would have your former second-round bust, according to some, beat that first-round player out. It would create more disharmony and I think more division in the Broncos locker room and in the Broncos media landscape. And just because the Broncos had a first-round quarterback in Paxton Lynch and that quarterback was beaten out by a 7th-rounder in Trevor Siemian, that history is not going to repeat itself. That was a testament to how bad Paxton Lynch was. But if they were to duplicate that scenario this year, if they took a quarterback at 9, it would be bye-bye Drew and hello Trey, hello Justin, and hello Mac.
We got one here from Christian. Good to see you, my friend. Appreciate you, dog. He says, just showing some love. Hashtag state of being. We're feeling the love, for real, and we love you back. Thank you, Christian. We also got a very, very second hold on to Contender View real quick. Get him ready from Dale.
Wow.
Very generous, bro. Love you, dog. Most of you, except for there's a few hundred newer subs that might not have been here when we brought Dale on the show, kind of like we did tonight with Mark. But everyone knows Dale up to this point. And Dale he's a superstar for a reason. Love you, bro. Seriously. I can't wait for the moment where we will get to kick back and shoot the breeze in person in a meet and greet hangout one of these days. It's going to happen. Dale, considering our roster right now, what player would you be willing to trade for a draft selection that you believe opposing teams would go for? Well, it depends on where and when, right? Like in the top, I'm not a believer right now. There's not a player in this class. There's not a prospect in this draft class. I'm willing to give up a 2 and a 3 to move to 4 or anywhere else in the top 10, top 8 to get. There's really not. So if we're talking like later, maybe you're in the second round, Zach, and you want to move back up into the first, who's a player that you would be willing to trade that opposing teams might go for? Maybe Bradley Chubb. But that to me would still be a bridge too far.
I wouldn't do that. I was going to say Melvin Gordon. I mean, he's in the last year of his contract. He's a starting running back. I mean, he might have some trade value if the Broncos are prepared to immediately acquire his replacement. But then you start thinking of the other types, the Tim Patrick types. I don't think they're going to trade Judy or Cortland Sutton. They don't have many movable assets unless you want to really move your foundational pieces. And I'm right there with Chad. There's not a non-quarterback in this draft, or quarterback for that matter, maybe even except for Zach Wilson, that I would trade a foundational piece for. It was the same reason, Chad. The Deshaun Watson trade packages, the rumored trade packages, multiple firsts, multiple seconds, a quarterback lock, and also a starting player or two. Bradley Chubb, Simmons, Draymond Jones, that was the bridge too far for me. So if I wouldn't do it for Deshaun, I'm not going to do it for a rookie player.
But Zach's onto something there. It would probably be someone that the Broncos have in a contract year that they'd be willing to part with. And I only throw Bradley Chubb out there as a possibility just because there are some warts in terms of, he had the ACL, bounced back, had a Pro Bowl year, but he still wasn't 2012 Bradley Chubb. And up to this point now with 3 years under his belt in the league, like there's teams out there that could go, look, if we get him in our system, He stayed healthy last year. Maybe he could be something, but he's also your successor to Von Miller long term. So, it's an interesting question though, and that's what we love about Dale. He brings questions that make us think, make us have to speculate a little bit, etc. Mundungus in the house, the Broncos wizard. Good to see you, bro. He says, is Eric Wilson, that's the former Vikings linebacker, an option the Broncos are actually considering? And if so, what is the upside? Why are we waiting to sign him if the Broncos are considering him? I think he's not the option we thought he was going to be in terms of how the Broncos view him. We like him. We'd love to see him here. He's either asking too much. He's either asking more than what Paton feels like he's worth, and or Vic Fangio likes Josie Jewell and Alexander Johnson a lot more than fans do.
And Sternad. I think that's the wild card here. I think they have a young linebacker, an inside linebacker they can play, and they might not want to pony up additional money for an inside guy. But he can also play outside, and he knows Paton. Again, I'm on the sign Eric Wilson, the bandwagon. I've been leading that train every single day on Twitter. I would love for it to happen. The upside, though, is every day he goes unsigned, he becomes a little more cheaper. That's the upside. If you wait till after the draft, I believe he'd be inclined to sign a prove-it deal, because by that point, Chad, his offers would be drying up. He's not going to get a starting job more than likely. He'd have to settle for a backup prove-it deal. And what better situation reuniting with George Paton and playing with Bradley Chubb and Von Miller than in Denver? All
right, guys, we're at an hour 30, so we really got to hustle. And we got some guys here, contender view. Appreciate you. There are way too many unrestricted free agents and extensions that need to be done next year to not give Locke a chance and take a replacement starter at 9. Agreed. It's another example why it's another part of the puzzle, Zach, to the thinking Paton has. He's looking down the road. And again, guys, what's in the best interest of the Broncos is Drew Lock hitting this year and turning the corner, because it allows them to use that number 9 pick on a potential replacement or someone who can help them now.
Cost control, that's the name of the game. And, Block is making, $2 million this year? It's really, fortuitous when your starting quarterback is making that little money. So that's why we all want the Broncos to do well this year with Lock, because obviously they'd be back to relevancy, but you'd be doing it by not crippling your salary cap with an expensive rookie quarterback.
Mike 5.56, appreciate you, my friend. Welcome. Connect on Twitter. Appreciate you. Man, I hope we grab Kellen Mond, either late first or second. I feel he's an uncovered gem. Kellen Mond is interesting. He's intriguing, but the soonest I would consider taking Kellen Mond, and I would consider it for the Broncos, would be round 3.
Yeah, I would not take him in round 1. I think he's the next quarterback off the board, though, after the big 5 come off. I think that will be Mond, but I'm on the Davis Mills bandwagon. I take Mills before I take Kellen Mond. That's just me, though.
I know our draft guys here at MHH think Davis Mills, there could be a little something to him. That's the Stanford quarterback, one-year wonder. Go check him out, some of his cut-ups on YouTube. James Moss, good to see you, bro. I like the fact Paton hasn't given these coaches the players they need. I like the fact Paton has given these coaches the players they need to succeed. It's up to Shermer and Fangio to do the rest. Yeah, I mean, up to this point, it's been all but one. It's been defensive acquisitions, with the exception of Mike Boone. But Mike Boone gives you that number 2 or number 3 option behind Melvin Gordon.
Yeah, I think he's done a bang-up job, and we talked about this yesterday. Last year, John Elway went out of his way to make it like the offseason of Drew Lock, giving him the weapons and the coaching staff. This was the offseason of Vic Fangio. And Paton, he didn't owe Fangio anything. He has no loyalty to Vic Fangio, and what did he do instead? He brought back Kareem Jackson, he brought back Von Miller, he locked down Shelby, he locked down Simmons, he signed 2 cornerbacks, one of which was a former All-Pro with the Bears. I think he's done a good job, like the question states or the comment, putting his coaches in a position to succeed. That way, if they don't, it's not George Paton's fault, it's the coach's fault.
Ron Dub, good to see you, brother. We miss you when you're not in the chat. Appreciate you. He goes, hey, guys, what are your most and least favorite free agent signings thus far? Also, which draft prospect, name, or position would provide instant impact? Least favorite up to this point signing is definitely Ronald Darby, but that's not like, I'm not trying to hate on I just don't like the contract, but nevertheless, Ronald Darby. Favorite, definitely Kyle Fuller. And then draft prospect to provide instant impact for me, it's still Micah Parsons.
Does this count like in-house guys? Because my favorite deal was Shelby just getting his money and getting that long-term deal. Least favorite, I'm going to disagree. I'm going to say Mike Boone, and it has nothing to do with Philip Lindsay. I mean, for the most part, I just don't think he warranted $2.6 million guaranteed for a guy that's going to be a number 3 option more than likely and a special teams contributor. So you could have found a running back anywhere, and I think Peyton only went to him because of that Vikings connection. And I'm with you on the draft prospect. Micah Parsons is still way up high.
Dave from Georgia, appreciate you, dog. Who's your top-rated safety and what round would you grab him? Hashtag Denver Broncos for life. To me, it's probably Trevor Moehrig from TCU, followed by Richie Grant. Late round 1, I would consider Moehrig. Honestly, if you trade back, if you could get him in round 2, man, it would be a coup.
Yep, agreed.
Jeremy Hancock, appreciate you, dog. My problem with Drew is I'm not sure where his ceiling is. I think 9-8 or 10-7 could be it. That's right. We got to start like the numbers for wins and losses change now. I hope I'm wrong, but definitely understand moving up to draft a quarterback if the one you want makes it to 4 or 5. Yeah, if it happens, it happens, and we are going to analyze it. We'll critique it, but at the end of the day, when that person, if it happens, is a Bronco, he's a Bronco, and we fans. You fall in line and see how the chips will fall.
Quick, Larry, go get another one, man. You won $10 on a scratch off. Here's 2 for being great. Larry, we appreciate you so much. Go buy another one right now because your luck is on one. We appreciate you. Thank you.
You the man, dude. Tom up there in Canada, good to see you, brother. Just wondering, Drew's QBR rating those past 5 games, probably top 5 guys. We can study that at another time. If we weren't so long, we could pull it up and look at it. But remind us tomorrow, Tom, even if it's not a super chat, just remind us we can pull it up and look at that. Okay. John, do you have Pobby? We need Pobby. We need Pobby. We need, I think that's it. And I think we're current. Let me double check it on the back end real quick. And then we got to get going here. Pobby and James Pobby. Let's see. Hold up. James Boyd, Pobby, Daniel Dennis, and that's it. 2 from James Boyd, though, if you got him. Let me scroll down because I'm thinking they might. Here's one from James Boyd. Draft Parsons, rock with lock. He plays terrible. Try and get Aaron Rodgers or Deshaun Watson. Bradley Chubb's injury prone, might be too good to cut the loss. Aaron Rodgers was talking about that today, I want to say, on the Pat McAfee show that, hey, man, I can't control what happens in terms of moves that are made or if I stay or if I go. But I do know that I've kind of delayed some of the plans they had, right? Playing as well as he did with Jordan Love. Interesting. He's someone to monitor, Zach, for 2022. Not necessarily for the Broncos, but just NFL at large.
Yeah, he is, though. But, if you trade for him, what are you getting? 2 or 3 high-quality seasons unless you drafted Jordan Love to station behind him, then you're in the same exact boat. So maybe he'll be moved, but I don't see the Denver's moving mountains to acquire 39-year-old Aaron Rodgers at this point.
Last 3, and we got to go. Pobby, love you. Here's the princess from the top rope. Look at her. I mean, it's just unbelievable. She stuns us. You all stun us day in and day out on this podcast. We love you. We appreciate you. Pobby says, very thankful for all MHH podcasts, as you all know. I want to shout out Buana Beast today. Thank you for all you do for me and everyone in the community. I'm very proud to call you my friend, John. I'm at work. Sorry for being late. Thanks, Chad and Zach. Much, I don't know, not so much needed, but much well-deserved focus and love for Buana Beast, who, guys, he does so much behind the scenes you don't realize. Not only is he editing the podcast for us, he's managing the chat, he's doing all this. And then after the fact, he's on Twitter, hanging out with you guys, keeping the conversation going, making sure Zach and I are seeing all the news that's coming out. Like, John deserves some big-time props, especially and then he steps in and guest hosts for me when I'm gone for a week. John's the man. Trust.
Yeah, and Pobby, you are incredible. Thank you so much. When you grace us with your presence in the podcast, that's totally sincere. That's not disingenuous at all. We are truly happy to have you here. Donations aside, just having you interact with us and having you be a part of the community and the things that you say, you're just so nice. It's so refreshing to see. And I told Mark Langley in this chat before we went on, you're a good person in a world filled with a lot of bad people. So, Pobby, we appreciate you. You always make the pod a little better. Thank you so much.
Just the pure kindness, the stuff she sent us during Christmas time. She's just a great human being. Daniel does not, thank you, Daniel, does not matter what happens in the draft or with luck. Only half of Broncos country will be happy. Just give me Jameer Davis and no Mac Jones. Good points, good points. There's always going to be the critics. There's always going to be the trolls and the negative Nancys and the glass half empties out there. You can't please everyone. And that's why NFL front offices are not swayed by fan opinion.
And that's why in my closet right there, I have a Let 'em Hate t-shirt hanging up. So, if they don't like Locke starting this year, let them hate, baby. They'll see.
Very generous super chat from a name I don't recognize.
At the buzzer.
Jordan Tech Kennedy with a $100, $99.99 super chat off the top rope. He says, without you, I would die of boredom. Hashtag Drew Lock going to pop us.
USPS fan?
Oh, okay. There we go.
I think. I don't know.
Jordan,
thank you so much.
Jordan, dude, thank you, my friend. Connect with us on Twitter. If we're already connected, and just do one of these in our mentions so we know, hey, this is Jordan Tech Kennedy from tonight. Seriously, dude, thank you so much. Blows our mind.
Yeah. Hope to see you around in the future, though. Appreciate it.
Seriously, dude, thank you. I mean, we run out of words sometimes because it ends, if we just keep saying it, we run the risk of it coming off as disingenuous, but just believe us, it's not. Thank you so much, guys. We really do got to get out of here. And also there was another one from James that just said, my dude, glad you're back. Really appreciate you, James. James Boyd, you the man. And also we got to give some props before we dip on out of here to our Facebook supporters and those on Facebook who are just as outgoing, just as generous, just as supportive of the content that we are providing here on a day-to-day basis. And we do pride ourselves, Zach, on being the only podcast we're aware of on the sports media landscape that do 7 days a week. People out there, they say that they're daily. All right. What that means to most publications out there is that they podcast 4, maybe 5 days a week. We go 7 days a week. And of course, the Huddle Up podcast, we consider ourselves very privileged that 4 of those 7 days we get to talk with each and every one of you. And in the meantime, guys, just know these supporters and those on Facebook, Randy, Zebulon, dope name, dude. Daniel, Muhammad, Brad, we love each and every one of you. So thank you so much. And we could go through more. If time permitted, we'd hang out with y'all seriously all night, but we got to go. Hour and 42 minute podcast, Zach. Sign us off and we'll circle back on Wednesday.
Good to have you back, Chad. It's a classic long form pod today. We'll be back in the saddle. Tomorrow we're off. Tuesday we'll be back in the saddle. Wednesday evening, 6 o'clock Mountain, 8 o'clock Eastern. Talk more Broncos football at that date. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, though, as you can see, at Chad and Jensen, at Kelberman NFL for Chad and I. Subscribe, like, share, helps us out aplenty. Also, if you would be so kind. Also, I'm sorry. Follow John KMHH down there. He is the best Buona Beast. Yes, John, you deserve it. Follow that man right there at John KMHH. Also, like, subscribe, share, huddleuppod.com. Hit the store, Manscaped, 20% off, promo code Huddle. Become a subscriber, facebook.com. Hit the big blue button, Kelberman's Corner, Trickle Zone, Saturday and Sunday. But until then, we will see you guys Wednesday, 6 o'clock Mountain, 8 o'clock Eastern. Thank you, Trevor. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, everyone else tonight. Chad, have a great night. Good to have you back, sir. John, have a great night. Everyone else out there, we will see you Wednesday night. Take care, and as always, go Broncos.